Hello. Welcome to Wine School. Today we're going to be talking about the basics of wine and sort of how one wine is different from another and how wine happens in general. We can essentially break wine flavor down into 6 different dimensions. The first one is acidity. Acidity is one of the reasons why we drink wine with food. It's the tart, refreshing aspect of wine. It helps to cut fats and then readies our palate for the next bite. Next, we have sweetness, or lack thereof. A wine that isn't sweet at all we'll call dry. And dryness can be accentuated by high acidity. It can also be accentuated by a lot of tannin. Tannin is another component of wine flavor, and it is usually only perceptible in red wines. Tannin is a woody component that exists in grape skins and stems and seeds. And if you need a reference point, it's kind of like if you can imagine the skin on a peanut. It's sort of very astringent and drying, and it helps provide structure for the wine. It's also a reason why red wines can age as well. It's a natural preservative. Next, we have fruitiness, and fruitiness is simply a measure of how intense the fruit flavors are in a wine. This is usually a function of ripeness, and you can imagine a very ripe wine being sort of like a very ripe banana, having very rich, intense fruit flavors, as opposed to a less ripe wine being more like say a green banana, which is a little bit more tart and less rich. The next component of wine flavor is kind of abstract one. It's non-fruit flavors. And it has to do with anything that exists in the wine that doesn't taste like fruit. So this would be things like flowers, earth, mushrooms. It could even be things that have to do with the technical aspects of the wine. So for instance, oak aging. So if we have vanilla, coconut, brown baking spices, these sorts of things have to do with aging the wine in oak. And these are all non-fruit flavors that we associate with wine. And last, we have alcohol. And alcohol is obviously the reason why we have fun when we drink wine. But alcohol also serves to lift the aromatics of the wine up into our nose. So as the alcohol evaporates, it brings some of the fruit and non-fruit aromas that we've already been talking about up into the air and allows us to smell the wine. If the wine has too much alcohol, then it will smell hot, or it will burn in your nose. If you drink it, it might also burn in the throat. And this is generally a wine that has too much alcohol, and we would call that out of balance. In general, when we talk about balance, we mean a wine that any one of these 6 flavor dimensions doesn't seem to stick out too much. And this is a very important matter when assessing the quality of a wine. A wine that's of good quality we usually call in balance.
So tell me, why does one wine taste different than the other? Huh! Bet you can't answer that one.
That's a great question. There are basically 4 different contributing factors for why one wine would taste different from another one. The first one is the character of the grape or grapes used in the wine. The second one has to do with the character of the place where those grape varieties are grown. The third has to do with the character of the vintage. So in other words, basically what the weather was like that year. And then the fourth has to do with the winemaker's style. We can think about the first 3 things as the raw material that the winemaker has to work with. The fourth is the style of the winemaker. And this is basically the whole sum of the technical choices that the winemaker makes along the way.
How does wine even happen?
All wine starts out as sweet grape juice. We'll call it must. In the must, there's also usually yeast naturally occurring, or we might add yeast to help things along. Fermentation then happens according to a very simple formula. The yeast eats the sugar, and as a byproduct, it makes alcohol and carbon dioxide. Red wines are usually fermented with the skins in contact with the juice. And even though all juice starts out clear, the skins tint the juice, and this is why we end up with red wine. On the other hand, white wines usually aren't fermented on the skins. Okay, so what did you learn today?
Oh yeah, when we're talking about wine and the way it tastes, you got 4 different things. Watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this. 4. You got 4. 1, you got varietals, different grape varieties, right? You got Tempranillo, that's a grape. You got Moscatos or Muscats, that's a grape. You got Pinot Noirs, yeah, that's a grape. That's gonna change stuff, make it taste different. Second, you got the vintage, things that happened that year. Like if it rained, oh yeah, or if it was sunny, or warm, or cold. hot. All that stuff, it matters. Also, you got kind of the characteristics of the place. Like if it was on like a southern facing slope, right? Southeast, say, gets plenty of sun. Or if it's, kind of on like a rocky plain or something, where it's got a lot of cold things happening. So the place. And then fourth, last but not least, wait for it. Yeah! You got the winemaker. Everybody does a little thing different. Oh yeah, that's the other one. Everybody does a little different. So you got the winemaker that's gonna do wine the way he wants to do wine, the way you kind of want to make your peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? Sometimes you put peanut butter and jelly on one piece of toast and you put the other piece of toast on top of the toast. Or you don't even toast it. Same deal. Oh yeah.